Greetings. Today, our PowerPoint is going to be over understanding outside stressors. So, what are outside stressors? Outside stressors are something that can cause a state or strain or tension that originates outside of oneself. It's something caused by an environment, social situations, or life events. Specifically for college students, here are some examples of stressors, right? A change, a big life change, like entering a new school or changing your home environment, loss, losing family members or a friend or someone close to you, feeling uncertain about your future. And thinking about your career. Maybe you changed your major, or you're thinking about changing your major, or you're did a summer internship and realized the thing that you wanted to do your entire life is not what you want to do anymore. And other things, wasting time. This is a big one. And it shows wasting time shows itself in multiple ways: procrastination, disorganization, lack of interest, burnout or exhaustion, unnecessary perfectionism, and having a lot of visitors or telephone calls. Unnecessary perfectionism is a big one. Sometimes trying to get things too perfect can cause more stress, right? Too much stress. And here are some effects, right? The stressors can have different effects on you. It can cause you to have difficulty concentrating. It can make you easily angered. You can have depression and anxiety, more fatigue, maybe some insomnia and headaches, even stomach problems. All these things can arise simply from having stress. Some common symptoms, as stated before, anger, irritability, loss of appetite, poor sleep, fatigue, chest pain, acne, back pain, headaches, lack of energy, digestive problems, lack of motivation. A lot of these things you may be experiencing, but you may be attributing them to something else, right? Like your acne or headaches. You might just think, "Oh, I'm staring at the computer too long" or something. It may be related to stress. So you want to make sure you're taking a good look at those things. So here are some examples of outside stressors. A death in the family, like we said before. Maybe you're having some relationship difficulties. Work, maybe you're having issues at work, financial worries. Maybe you're having difficulty balancing your academics and your extracurricular activities. That can bring on stress. Having family responsibilities. A lot of students have different backgrounds and they have a lot of different responsibilities on them outside of just their education. Being away from home is a big one. Being homesick. A lot of freshmen get homesick. Military deployment. That's something that some people have to deal with as well. And fear of the future. Fear of the future. All these things are examples of outside stressors. Specifically contributing to students, right? We have economic reasons, loan trouble, and working while studying, right? This is a big one. A lot of students have to work and go to school. That's not easy. That puts on stress. Some it's the pure academic load, just dealing with the classes that you're taking, right? Maybe you're taking a math class and you haven't had math since high school, right? Expectations from parents and teachers. That's a big one. Expectations, trying to meet other people's expectations instead of setting your own and meeting those. Your career path. Maybe you were sure you were going to do one thing and now you're doubting that. Lack of self-esteem, not having value in yourself and believing that you are valuable. Family problems and deaths of loved ones again. Right? These are all things that contribute to stress among students. Indirect stressors are things that do not directly affect the student and are not related to the student in any way. These stressors can be issues such as political unrest, crime, the unstable but captivating lives of social media influencers, Sometimes you can find yourself being caught up in the lives of people on social media or getting caught up in politics. Those things can also add stress to your life, right? So here's just some statistics about the things that cause stress in general and some things that cause stress specifically for college students, right? 67% of college students feel that financial worries contribute to their stress. 77% of students feel their stress is related to academic concerns. 35% of students feel that physical health contributes to their stress. 54% say family, and 35% say lack of sleep. Um, 52% of people between the ages of 18 and 35 says stress has kept them awake at night, and 70% of college students receive less than the 8 hours recommended of sleep. This will cause more stress to you as well. I mean, there's some more information. Feel free to pause this slide and read all these things. And some of the general top causes of stress are finances, work, family, no time to meet commitments, so on and so forth. But feel free to read all these. You may find some of the things that you struggle with. And then below, they have ways of managing your stress. But we're going to talk more about those later on in this PowerPoint. There's also environmental stressors, right? Environmental stressors. These stressors can be both direct and indirect. Things like poor air quality, dangerous chemicals polluting the air, ground, and water, weather changes, extreme temperature, and flooding, overcrowding, and rising crime rates. These are all considered environmental stressors, things that are happening in your environment, right? Um, so this is a slide just talking about some environmental stressors and things like that, right? Bacterial, fungi, organic, inorganic chemicals, noise, temperature, all these things can cause stress to you based off of your environment. And these can play a part in your the nervous system, right? The nervous system, neurotransmitters. It can also cause gastrointestinal issues, right? With your endocrine system, immune system, all these things. When you are stressed, your immune systems are lowered, which makes you more susceptible to being sick. So you want to make sure that you are maintaining a healthy lifestyle, right? And that includes mental health as well. Then there's also social situation stressors, relationships, family responsibilities, socioeconomic disadvantages, age, race, or sex discrimination, experiencing abuse, and experiencing crime and the justice system, things like being arrested and going to court. All these are things that will add stress to your social situation and the way you interact with people, right? Um, Here's some examples of stressors in the social domain. I'll just read a few. Confrontation, peer pressure, social media, meeting someone new, jealousy, holidays, going somewhere alone, lack of friends. All these things are things that may cause you stress in a social environment. They're not all bad. Meeting a new person isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's still stressful, right? That is still something that can cause stress. Not necessarily the bad kind of stress, but it's still stress nonetheless. There's also life event stressors. Let's say you get sick. You get sick during the semester, you catch a cold or catch the flu or something like that. Hospitalization, receiving unexpected or shocking diagnoses, mental health issues, and illnesses in the family. These are all things that can cause stress in life events. And here's a graphic of that. They have more here. Um, Accidents, right? These are things that arise over the course of your matriculation that may cause you stress. So here's some effects of stress. Struggling to get motivated, right? Stress often causes students to have difficulty concentrating in class. Students may find it hard for them to study and retain the material. They may also struggle to come to class, and due to the stress of life and large amounts of assignments they have missed, right? That just adds more stress to it. And then they get more stressed from low poor grades because they're not handing assignments in, so on and so forth, right? Sometimes other effects can be headaches, frequent infections, muscle aches and twitches, worrying, muddled thinking, being accident prone, drinking more, um, losing confidence and irritability. I'm just naming a few, right? Stress can cause you to lose your effectiveness, um, and have less enjoyment out of life and not enjoying things that you would typically have enjoyed, right, out of life before. How do we deal with outside stress, right? That's the big question, right? Well, number one, keep a positive attitude, right? Be positive. And that's something you have to work at. Being positive comes naturally to some people. For most of us, it goes and comes with the day and how the day goes. So you have to make an effort to keep your mind positive. Except that there are events that you cannot control. You can't control every situation. Sometimes you're not going to do well on an exam. Sometimes, you could have studied more. Sometimes you mismanaged your time. Those things happen, right? Accept that. Be assertive instead of aggressive. Make sure that you are asserting yourself. There's a difference between being loud and angry and being confident and assured, right? Learn to manage your time more efficiently. What are you doing with your time? Are you capitalizing off of it and maximizing it, or are you just going with things as they come? Right? Set limits appropriately and say no to requests that would create excessive stress in your life. There's no need to take on more than you can chew, right? Seek help and guidance from family, friends, and professionals if needed. Don't keep everything to yourself. Talk to someone. If you can't talk to your friends and family, find a therapist. There are people, trained professionals, who will listen to your problems and help you solve them. Make time for hobbies and interests. Do something fun. I always try to teach my students to make sure that they add time to do relaxing things in their day. Make sure you have time to relax every day. Don't rely on alcohol, drugs, or compulsive behaviors to reduce stress. This is a big one in college. A lot of college students rely on alcohol and drugs to um, to make up for the stress that they're dealing with and the things that they're dealing with, whether it's academic or familial or financial. They rely on substances to cope, and they don't see the danger in using substances to cope. So make sure that you are distinguishing between when you're doing something for fun and when you're doing something to cope. Always plan times for rest and relaxation. You should make sure to set aside time to rest. That doesn't mean you lay in the bed. That means you plan to sit, go somewhere and relax. Go somewhere you don't usually go and just sit, relax. Just waking up and sleeping in is not considered rest and relaxation to me. That you're just sleeping in, right? That's not a planned time. How do you recognize academic stress? Right? Well, how do you find the source? Well, first you have to ask yourself some questions. Is it a particular class or type of work? Is it an issue of time management and prioritization? Do you have too much on your plate? Or is it due to family expectations or financial obligation? Then you pinpoint how it's affecting you. Is the stress preventing you from sleeping? Is it making you take longer to do the work or paralyzing you from even starting? Is it causing you to feel unwell or anxious or depressed? Right? These are all questions you want to ask yourself to determine where the stress is coming from and how it is affecting you. So here's 7 tips to manage stress. We have some more coming, but here's 7 tips, right? Eat well, sleep well, avoid procrastination, exercise regularly, set realistic expectations, identify a stress outlet. Sometimes it's games, watching YouTube videos, whatever. Minimize stimulants. Don't just drink coffee when you need some energy. Coffee is a stimulant and you will crash. You will crash. And sugar as well. You will crash. More ways to manage stress. Breathing exercises. Watch funny things and try aromatherapy. These are things that may instantly relieve your stress. Short-term stress relief. Go for a walk. Journal your feelings or practice meditation. And some long-term ways to manage stress. Make time for leisure. Take time to exercise and eat healthy. More things are remove uncertainty. Try to relate things to something you've done before. Be proactive. That means reading ahead, preparing, looking into next year before you get there. Reframe. View the tasks as an opportunity, not a threat. Every assignment is an opportunity for you to make a good grade, not a chance for you to make a bad one. Best case scenarios. Focus on the best case scenario, not the worst case, the best case scenario. Do your best to get a good night's sleep, right? And talk to someone. Do not struggle in silence. If that's one thing I can impress upon you is do not struggle in silence. There are people who care. You just have to find them. In conclusion, stress is a part of being human. It is important to recognize and deal with outside stressors. Take the necessary actions to adjust and adapt your life to cope with stressors as you continue your efforts to achieve your academic and life goals. Seek help and guidance from others when necessary. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my PowerPoint presentation. Have a good day.